What?
General Bhatia, sir, your views on what has happened so far in short, and where do you think we are going with Pakistan? And do you think really Pakistan has learned any lesson? Yours, sir.
Thank you, Brother Short. Thank you, Pastor. I'll go with General Satish Dua, my old colleague and friend. And to say that Pakistan learned its lessons in what domain? If we think that Pakistan will change its India policy, its Kashmir policy, because of Sindhu, I don't think it's going to happen. Right? Having said that, let me also say that we have raised the cost of Pakistan in the Council of Pakistan, supporting terror, sponsoring terror, and perpetrating terror in our territories. And going back to surgical strikes post Uri, after the Uri surgical strikes, there has been no terror incident backed by Pakistan outside of J&K. We have to see that, right? So that is one big takeaway from the surgical strikes after that Jabbar Top, precision air Jabbar Top, and I don't call it Balakot, it is Jabbar Top, right? And thereafter, now what we have done. So what has happened is that Pakistan learned lessons, but we have restricted Pakistan's sphere of influence and sphere of activity from the whole of the country to mainly now in Jammu and Kashmir and to Kashmir. Last year it was in the Jammu region, south of Pir Panjal, Riyasi region. But if Pakistan would change its India policy, I don't think so. Because India policy, like rightly said, is driven by the Pakistani army. The relevance of the Pakistani army, its political relevance, its economic relevance, its domestic relevance is based on an anti-India stance. Right? So that's not going to change. But what is going to change is that Pakistan will now recognize the red lines, it will factor in the red lines of terror attacks, and it will now be again measure terror attacks. I don't think now that we'll see the type of attacks we saw prior to 2016 or even now. But the terror infrastructure will remain, it will be reinforced, and Pakistan will come back because let's understand, easier said than done to degrade the image of the Pakistani army. Because every nation respects its army, whatever it is, whatever it may be. You cannot take away the patriotism out of any people. And that patriotism, the face of the patriotism is the armed forces, even in our country today. Certainly, you find that the value of the armed forces has gone up. You switch on your TV, you switch on radio, everyone is talking about the armed forces, how they listen to. When I was going listening to one of the music stations, he says, we are enjoying the music because the armed forces are deployed. So the same thing is applicable out there. The Operation Sindoor, sharp, swift, surgical, achieved its aims, and we forced Pakistan to come back and ask for cessation of hostilities. Right? 9 targets, well chosen, terrorist training camps, not training camps, sorry, terrorist camps actually, terrorist hideouts, terrorist headquarters, as far away as Bawalpur, Gurudke, Muzaffarabad, not only the tactical depth, not the operational depth, at the strategic depth. And thereafter, what happens? They try to do something, we got ourselves. And then the turning point was, like rightly said, taking out the air defense of Pakistan. When the air defense cover is taken off in those 90 minutes with the 11 strikes, right? So what happens? Pakistan is left naked. We can then hit Pakistan at any point of time, at anywhere, in any form, in any quantum, in any quality. And Pakistan is forced to come to India and to seek for cessation of hostilities, which we have given, which is rightly so. A lot of people saying, why should we have? We should have. Because India was on control of the escalation ladder. Now, we have done this operation, please understand this, and like Jandur brought out, without strategic surprise. We have done this operation without operational surprise. We have conducted this operation without tactical surprise. Unlike Uri, we had surgical strategic surprise, Operation Strike, tactical surprise. In Jabba Top operations, again we had surprise because we chose a target into Pakistan. They didn't expect that. But this time they expected everything. We had gone on record that we will strike you. You have to pay for it. And this is where I think we should respect the armed forces. Having been a student of military history, studying wars all over, I think the world will be studying this short, swift action of ours. Well integrated, well joined, and what the Air Force achieved, what the Army Air Defense has achieved, what the armed forces achieved in the planning and execution, I think we should salute them. And as a nation, as people, we should be very proud of them. Right now, coming down to lesson, what we need to do. The India challenge is to change Pakistan's behavior in the mid to long term. Now, how do we do it? We need a strategy for it. The strategy has to be 9+2 in the diplomatic domain, informational domain, military domain, economic domain, political domain, and the cultural domain. Let's not forget that. +2 is very important again. Right? And for this we need strategy. We need to strategize. As a military man, let me give you a military strategy. The military strategy, as enunciated and as practiced, it may not be enunciated, as practiced is proactive, preemptive, and punitive, the 3 Ps, as we call it. And that's what we exactly done. These operations were both preemptive and punitive. Then we went, the proactive strategy, what we call the cold start doctrine, what Pakistan calls the cold start doctrine, what the proactive strategy has to be further refined, and it cannot be everything go in one go. Because you have to shape the public opinion, you have to shape the international opinion, diplomacy has come in. And one of the major lessons learned is the synergy between the politico-military level, the politico-military will, right? It involved a political end state, and that is what was given to the military, and the military capabilities, they trusted that. So we'll have to look at the higher directions coming into the synergy of the political military. And one of the things I would say and recommend in this is that, and through Ghana shortcast, I think it's a very important recommendation as far as I'm concerned. The CCS was meeting, I think, yesterday. If the CCS is meeting, the 3 chiefs and the CDS should be special invitees. They should sit in, non-speaking members of the CCS, but they should sit in and listen. Okay, this is one of the major recommendations, because that is there. I think this time the clarity was there. This is the political end state required. This is the military actions required, and there's synergy between the two, which has been lacking for quite some time. Actually, General Dua would tell us that during surgical strike it was there. Definitely, it was there, but that was a limited one when we everything. This time we didn't have anything. The next thing, Make in India is not even covered. Cognitive domain has been covered. Yes, we done. Let me say, we've not done badly, actually. We've not done badly. We may not done well, but we've not done badly. So I would give it still, pass marks. We need to do better, and we need system and structures for IW. That's very important. We do not have system and structures. If we do not have system, Doordarshan, largest network of television stations in every language. Have we exploited that? No. We cannot stop the media hype, the media halla, which is actually negative at times. Okay, because it raises expectation of the public. The public sentiment had to be assuaged. It was assuaged. But today the public is saying, no, why should we not go to war? It's not easy going to war. And out here, I quote Prime Minister Vajpayee. He made a great statement. He said after the parliament attack, because parliament attack was an attack on our flag. He said, "Aar paar ki ladai karenge." We would know of Prakram. And after 6-7 months, someone asked him, कि प्रधानमंत्री जी आप तो आर पार लड़ाई कर रहे थे, क्यों नहीं शुरू करते लड़ाई? He said, लड़ाई तो मैं आज शुरू कर दूं, खत्म कैसे करनी मुझे पता नहीं. So we'll have to tell our people that what are the aim and objectives of Sindoor which we achieved. So that is important, because public sentiment is important, public opinion is important, and psychological operations with Pakistan is important, as is the international environment. One more thing, a major thing which has come out of this is that the nuclear overhang, the nuclear blackmail, the nuclear rhetoric, that factor has been now totally done away with. And the Prime Minister's statement categorical on this. So we told Pakistan, nuclear, non-nuclear, zero tolerance for terror. So when we talk of terror, we got to talk basically hitting out at Pakistan, raising the cost and cost of Pakistan all over again. And for this now, the armed forces have to rethink the options available. Every time you have to upgrade the options. When you upgrade the options, you upgrade the capabilities. When you upgrade the capabilities, you have to procure things. And for that, you need budgets. You need monies. I believe, it is said that 50,000 crore is given. But given that India's threats are defined and definite, I think GDP of 1.9% is too little. And not only too little, it is not only optimally utilized also. The utilization should be with the right people. The power to utilize them should be with the armed forces. We have DAC going on. We're very fine. The Defense Acquisition Council, a lot of this. But someone has to do an audit. How many projects were sanctioned and how many projects were fructified over the last 10, 11 years, or even 20 years for that matter. Right? So we have to get our systems right, because this threat is not going away anywhere. If we think that just because of Sindhu, Pakistan will stop it, will change its policy, it's not going to change the policy. And the expectation of the public is every time there is a terror attack, irrespective of how many casualties, I think we should go ahead to Pakistan. And politically, I don't know whether it's acceptable or not. So we'll have to look at small things. Also, of course, we need to look inwards also. It is not only Pakistan. I think we'll have to look at Kashmir again. If you look at Kashmir since 2019, things change. Quran Wani is no longer a factor. There was a time when there was stone pelting. There was a time when we used to, count people, thousands coming for, thousands. The streets were full, the schools were closed, the markets are closed, the complete population is out. There's nothing you could do. So things are really bad. But what has happened now? You don't see people coming out. Schools are open. Srinagar and Kashmir were teeming with tourists. You couldn't find a parking place anywhere. Right? Now things have changed again. Economic development is very important. Now we want to make sure and look inwards, and we should, and what I call for Kashmir inwards is 4E strategy: education, economic development, employment generation, and empathy for the people of Kashmir. A lot of Kashmiri students who were studying outside had to rush back because they were not secure outside. So that our people have to understand that we have to look after. They are our people. We have to look after them. Right? So this has to be all over India. It's not only Kashmir. So I think, again, Referee General Dua, of course, he's an expert on this thing. He's also the color regiment of Jackalai, and a very popular figure in Kashmir. Look at the amount of youth who come for recruitment to the Jackalai Center. That is an indicator. Look at the amount of people, youth who come for recruitment into the police, into the government jobs. Right? That is the indicator. And that is where we've got to build upon and not treat everyone as a terrorist. Retribution ops should be there, should be targeted. So I will end out here, and we should look at ceasefire. This is cessation of hostilities, not ceasefire. We should remain on our guard. Things can change anytime, and we should continue with this and clear signal out of Pakistan that you do anything, the cost have to be raised, the cost will be raised. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. You spoke a lot of things, but I will sum it up in just one point. I think that's the major point which you made, and I'll define it. If you see the history of India-Pakistan, conflicts and fights and all that, we conduct anti-terrorist operations, but eventually go up. The Pakistan talks of Kashmir. They conflate terror and Kashmir. And that's the way it ultimately gets projected in the international media, which everyone says, look, India and Pakistan keep fighting over Kashmir. How do disaggregate these two and deal with them is going to be our future problem. And for that, like you rightly said, you have to look inwards at Kashmir differently so that the Kashmir factor is out of the terror equation. And you have to handle terror differently because it's going to come back at you. The shape size and form factor and the location factor might change, but it's going to come back at you. I think that's a major sense which I got out of what you said.